So I started running in 2023, the summer of 2023. We had just gotten back from a trip to Chamonix with the lads. We'd gone there to do some hiking, and it just so happened that we were there the same weekend as the Golden Trail Series, which is a trail running event, one of the big trail running events in the calendar, similar to a UTMB. They've got loads of different events across different places in the world. It just so happened that we were there the same weekend as the one in Chamonix. Now, prior to this, I had zero interest in running, but I left that weekend feeling pretty inspired because we'd seen all these dons running up and down the mountains through the night, and it was probably at the time the most inspiring thing I'd ever seen. And yeah, I came back to Manchester with an urge to become a trail runner. So we're going to go for a run. I'm not feeling good, to be honest. I don't know what it is. I'm just not feeling like I'm ready to run 5k, but I'm going to try and grind it out a little bit, probably do a bit of walking in between because it's still quite hot. It's about 8:30 on Wednesday night and it's still about 20 degrees, so we'll see how we get on. I just squeezed out a 5k, got a PB. It's only the second 5k I've ever done, but we take progress of any size here. About this time I must have been 27 or 28 years old. I had really bad fitness. I'd spent the last decade neglecting my health and fitness, going to university and drinking, smoking for years, and it had done my body absolutely no good. I felt horrendous when I started out the running. I struggled doing 400 meters. It was just a very difficult sport to get into, and I started off quite optimistic with it all. However, when I started doing the running in the peak summer in Manchester, there was no trail, so I was doing a lot of road, and it was extremely humbling. As someone who was a fairly athletic kid, not being able to run, 2 kilometers without stopping and gasping for air was not very nice. Didn't know what the hell I was doing with it, but I persevered, and day after day, week after week, month after month, I found myself getting faster, stronger, and even enjoying the running quite a lot more. What initially hooked me on the running after I got over that first initial horrendous barrier of being tragically unfit was the newbie runner gains, the progress, seeing the progress you were making as a result of the graft you were putting in. Enjoyed seeing my 5k times come down. I enjoyed seeing the fact I could eventually run 5k without stopping, 10k without stopping, 15k without stopping. Enjoyed that feeling of getting the reward as a result of the graft you were putting in. Now, I stuck with running for the following 2 years, and in that space of time we did some pretty cool things. We ran 4 marathons. We did New York, Valencia, Paris and Hawaii, or the Honolulu Marathon. My PB being in Paris in 3 hours 52 minutes because I trained really hard to actually achieve that, and getting that on the day was probably one of the best days I've had in endurance sport. That feeling of hitting the achievement that you wanted after putting in 16 weeks of graft was unrivaled. I spent them 16 weeks training with some good mates who were also doing marathons in that similar time, so that whole block was just enjoyable. I really enjoyed that. But generally speaking, I started to not enjoy the actual physical act of running, and I found myself not wanting to do the training, and then I would go to these events and I would just suffer. The Honolulu Marathon, I really struggled. Probably one of the most difficult days I've had in running. Well, definitely the most difficult day I've had in running. Probably one of the toughest days I've had in my life. I'm done. Because I had a really bad training block from that. I fell ill in my 3 peak weeks, so I ended up missing the big dog 30s, 28s, 32k runs, and I showed up on the day unprepared. And then obviously in Honolulu, the weather is just, it's cruel to be running a marathon in that heat and humidity. And that was in December 2024, and after that I decided, I think I'm going to pack this in for a little bit and try my hand at cycling, because prior to that I had cycled. I think I started cycling about 2024, early 24 or maybe even late 23, I can't remember, but the running had always taken priority. In January 2025 I decided it's time to have a go properly at cycling and go all in ditch the running and see what happens. At the end of the day, I'm not a professional athlete. I do this for physical health, mental health, and enjoyment. Enjoyment being a pretty big one for me. So if I'm not enjoying stuff, if every run on the daily is feeling like a big slog, then I'm not going to do it. And I ended up finding myself reaching for the bike more regularly than I was reaching for my running shoes. And that was a pretty telltale sign, actually. So I decided to just follow my intuition and go all in on cycling because I was enjoying it, so why not? Since January, I have gone all in on the bike, and so far this year, we're in August, I've cycled nearly 8,000 kilometres, I've climbed nearly 100,000 metres of elevation because I live near the Peak District, and I've done quite a lot of hilly rides out in the Alps this year. And more importantly than the stats is, I've just loved every second of it. There's barely been anything that I don't enjoy about the cycling. Obviously, there's the faff of the mechanicals and this kind of stuff, but generally speaking, on the daily, when it comes to training, I love most of it. Or I should say, I enjoy a lot more of it than I did the running. Because what I found is I enjoy the actual daily physical training of it. I enjoyed the physical act of riding the bike compared to, I never really enjoyed the physical act of running. I enjoyed the progress in that you make, seeing that as a result of the graft you put in. But I also have that with cycling, so I've got the best of both worlds here. I think one of the main reasons I enjoy the bike so much is the pure freedom it can offer you. Like, riding a bike is about as freeing as it gets in terms of a sport. And what I mean by that is, on the daily when I'm doing running, or if I was training for a marathon, etc., I'd be running around my local area, 5, 10, 15k, whatever it may be. It's a nice area, but it's just pretty mundane. There's not that much adventure to be had on a 10k easy run compared to the likes of an 80k easy ride. I can go out into the Cheshire Lanes, or I can go out to the Peak District and enjoy some scenery. I can make a proper day of it. I feel like I've actually been somewhere. I think generally cycling it's easier. It's an easier sport. It's less impactful on the body, depending on how you ride or how you want cycling to be. It's just an easier sport, and I think, to be honest, that's part of the reason why I've been so obsessed with it, because you can make it easy every day if you want to. It can obviously be very, very difficult depending on what you want to do. I've done some events this year that have been, again, up there with one of my hardest days in my fucking life was the Marmot. Getting around 160 or 170 kilometres with 5,000 metres of elevation at altitude in the scorching sun of the French Alps was something that I'll never forget, for good and bad reasons, because it was just, I left my soul on Alpe d'Huez that day. It's the most beautiful, grueling ride I've ever done in my life. Jesus, look at this. Broadly speaking, again, I also think it's just a more dynamic or versatile sport. It can be whatever you want it to be. You can do cyclocross, gravel, road, mountain biking, just ride around as a commuter. There's so many different elements to cycling that you can explore, and as a sport in general, for me, I want loads of things to dig into. I want loads of things to get obsessed with, and cycling offers just a lot more than running does in that department, especially things like learning bike maintenance and stuff. There's so much that goes into it that I am just getting stuck in with this year, properly trying to learn about, and that is part of what I'm enjoying as well. Just this, I'm never going to complete cycling. There's so many different elements to it. I think one of the big downsides to cycling compared to running is the barrier to entry is massive. It just is massive. Obviously you can do cycling on the cheap, but the cheap is still going to be a few £100, and that can be quite a lot of money to invest into something that you don't even know if you're going to enjoy. I'm aware I am in probably one of the most privileged positions you can be in the sport of cycling, with the bike sponsor, the kit sponsor, the tech sponsor, yada, yada, yada. But I do think once you get over that initial barrier to entry and you reach the promised land of cycling, there ain't no going back. It's something from the outside you don't really understand, myself included. Before I got into cycling, I thought it was for geography teachers and gimps. Could not understand the appeal of it even slightly, but now I can't understand why people wouldn't want to get into cycling. It's funny how things change over time. So yeah, to summarise, I guess the cycling is where it's at for me at the moment. I am going to be doing a little bit of running and swimming here and there because I do enjoy the triathlon stuff as well. But broadly, the cycling is where my heart is at the minute, where the passion is, and that's where it's going to continue. But I do have a special place in my heart for running because it was the catalyst ultimately for me to live a healthier lifestyle and get into all of this endurance sport malarkey. So I think it's a good place to start. But if you are a runner watching this, go and get a bike. Just trust me, go and get a bike. You will not regret that shit.